Hey y'all, it's your girl, the authentic Empress, and I'm pretty hungry, so that's going to help me not be on this video too long. However, I've been led to share this because Spirit has definitely been dealing with me about it for the past couple of days. And what this is about is for those of us who are further along in our paths as it pertains to the embodiment and the strengthening of us, not only to our core, but our external selves, our vessels. It's easy to have a disdain or to have this disconnect, because of course you're going to be disconnected from something that you're no longer and it no longer resonates with your current version of yourself. But what I'm saying here is those of us who have gained a tough skin and that resilience and all of that much sooner than others, we're going to be required sometimes to still reveal the softness that we have, or to soften up when dealing with certain people who may be a little bit more fragile. And what I mean by that is that I'm referring to people who are relentlessly pressing their way through the oppression, the affliction, the delirium, or these forces that's constantly trying to pull them back. Every time they take steps forward or take strides forward, these forces that are going to, inevitably be fighting against them, be opposing them, right? And we all encounter that. I mean, that's just a part of spiritual warfare, psychological warfare, emotional warfare, physical warfare, all of that, right? There's going to be, a push-pull dynamic there. So this is not to say, because I just made a post about it as well. So if you follow me on my Facebook, some of the things that I say in this video may seem a little bit repetitive. However, it's not to say that you accept, people's their misplacement of the traits of your identity, or they project things onto you that doesn't truly embody or reflect who you truly are, right? And they're kind of more so like projecting what's within them and what they're accustomed to at the time, and have not yet fully developed an overall and a grounded understanding of why whatever they're experiencing or their perspectives or perceptions is, right? So once again, and whenever you experience that, yes, correct them. You have the authority to correct them, because most of us who have, kind of developed quicker whenever it comes to that, it's because, it's like you're automatically been drafted to be in a leadership position, because those things that you were able to overcome and embody within yourself, that's going to be required in order to survive, and, in order to extend yourself and, manifest, your destiny and your legacy and all that. That's what's required in this lifetime, right? For us to overcome these battles, for us to transmute and transcend generational curses and patterns and toxic behaviors and all these forms of programming, right? To put us in a place where we don't advance spiritually, especially in our lives, right? And when I say lives, I'm talking about like your past life. And some people are dealing with like a lot of past life residue that they're being challenged to overcome in this lifetime. And there's people who have karmic parents and all these things. We all encounter these things, right? However, you in your past lives, you get what I'm saying, maybe you are already like steps ahead, you get what I'm saying? And that's why here in this lifetime, you 422 on the timer just now, you were a little bit more stable. It was easier. It was more like natural for you to be in that stabilizing energy where you're able to stabilize whatever you encounter, and like I said, due to your past lives or whatever, good karma or whatever resilience that you've already built, right? Or whatever the case may be, whatever character traits and spiritual traits and abilities and gifts and talents that you've acquired, you know, from past lives or from whatever the case may be, like your spiritual DNA, right? Your blood, your human DNA. So we have to take these things into account. And again, something that I always say, which still holds true, because I want to be very clear here. This is not for you to diminish what you've become or who you've become within yourself, like you developing into your higher self or developing into a place where you've become more of a master over yourself, opposed to things outside of you being a master over you. And that's the case for a lot of people when dealing with, you know, warfare, especially as, you know, spiritual beings having a natural experience, right? These vessels, you know, that are temporal, right, opposed to your spirit, which is infinite. So that's the issue with a lot of people, having to overcome these masters that are working, you know, effortlessly, you know, for people to bow down to them, for people to worship them, you know what I'm saying? And that's the word I was looking for, was succumb. That's working, you know, for people to succumb to their mastery, opposed to, you know, people like I said, becoming a master of themselves, you know. And masters, you know, can range from anything. All masters are not good masters, right? Masters could be anything that's of a strong spiritual nature, anything that's, you know, of a strong energetic influence, right? That it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be behavior patterns or habits, hobbies, friend groups, organizations, anything. It can be anything, you know what I'm saying, that's going to have a lot of influence and possession over your soul, right? And you know, any form of manipulation or tampering, right? So that's why something I always say too is that for my people who likes to smoke weed, and you know, oftentimes most people who do smoke, there are more people that smoke weed who overindulge in smoking weed, opposed to people who smoke weed and, you know, they're more controlled whenever they smoke this weed, right? It's not something that they feel like they have to do. They don't feel addicted to it. They don't feel drawn to it, because people will say all day long, I'm not addicted to weed, I can stop at any time. However, their actions prove otherwise, right? So it's one thing to say something, it's another thing what you're actually doing and reproducing into the reality. So there's that. And you know, something that I always say as well is that there are multiple aspects of us. We are like composed of many energetic bodies, you know, like your psyche, your emotions, your etheric body, your physical body, your logic, you know, all of these different things that we are supposed to use or will to balance, you know, so that it works interconnectedly, and that is, you know, yeah, you know, like a DNA helix. It's like it's supposed to be able to, you know, flow, like almost like the planetary, you know, alignments, and just how everything is like balanced, right? You know, we don't, there's no clashing and you know, and collision and all of those things. So that's what I wanted to say. So we're at 8 minutes. I think that's pretty much straight to the point. Once again, it depends. If I'm speaking to, because I'm considering people, you know, who will already, you know, have this understanding, and maybe you just needed to. This right here is kind of just reassuring what you've already been hearing or already been feeling or detecting or discerning within yourself or from spirit, right? Or going back and forth with, or whatever, contemplating, right? So I don't feel like I really need to go in depth as it pertains to who this message is for. The person, it will resonate with who it is for. I'm very sure of that. So, like I said, this is not for you to reduce your developed and your ascended self to a piece insecurities, to appease somebody's, you know, unhealed insecurities or traumas, or, you know, excuses, you know, to reenact and reproduce traumatic behaviors and, you know, abusive behaviors and all this and the third. No, these are people who you sincerely can detect, discern, and read, you know, on, like, your clairs is popping. You can tell if a person is sincerely, you know, developing themselves, like spiritually developing themselves, psychologically, logically, all forms of intelligence, intuitively developing themselves. You know, these people who are investing in themselves, doing the due diligence, right? These people who are studious, you know what I'm saying? These people who are determined and you know, practicing discipline and yeah, all of that. This is the people I'm referring to, because, you know, people that you see potential in, people that, you know, once somebody saw that potential in you, and maybe you wasn't completely there yet, however you did have these traits and, you know, these qualities and stuff like that. But just like anybody, you know, who has, you know, the potential to be something great, and that's a part of their destiny, their life path, it's written in their Akashic records, you're going to encounter opposing forces. You're going to encounter conflict more than anybody else. You know, the war is going to be a little bit more hectic for you. You know, we know that. And, you know, we understand the beauty of that as well, because of the strength that we, you know, grow into, you know, the edification, you know, that we grow to be able to appreciate more than anything. You know, when you reach that place where you don't regret nothing that you went through, it doesn't matter how bad that it may appear to be. You know, you come to a place where now you can say it wasn't as bad as it looked. It wasn't as bad as it seemed, and now you're able to tell someone else it's not as bad as it seemed. You're now able to tell someone else who says it's hard. No, it's not hard. It's challenging, because you've been there, and it's like you've overcome that, right? You've succeeded the many tests. You know, the vigorous tests. You know, the easy ones, the intermediate ones, whatever the case may be. Everything that is required of us, because to whom much is given, much is required. 11:44 on the timer just now. But this is your girl, the authentic Empress. I will probably be doing another video, but like I said, your girl is about to smash this burrito right now. Vegan. But I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.